Hello, my name is Nadia Balderas, and I am currently a senior at the Young Women's Leadership Academy, the City of San Antonio's first public all-girls school and a 2015 National Blue Ribbon School. Born and raised in San Antonio, Texas, I've spent my entire life surrounded by the wealth of culture and tradition that we all know and love. My Mexican heritage, which is so intertwined with the history and the life of the City of San Antonio, has taught me to work hard in all my endeavors and to always try my best. I grew up in a loving home and community that eagerly worked to teach me such lessons and to reinforce the true sense of self that embraced our heritage rather than shunned it. For these reasons, I grew up to become who I am today. Ever since I started school, dating back to my very first days of pre-kindergarten, I can remember wanting to go to college. However, unlike many others, I did not wish to go to college because I had been told I had to, but because I truly loved learning and saw firsthand the miracles that a higher education can facilitate in one's life. Throughout my childhood, I was regaled with stories of my parents' time at college at the University of Houston. My parents and their collegiate journey have majorly impacted what I see as the college experience, which is one of exercising the freedom to account for one's own learning and personal growth. I am that much more passionate about going to a great university to obtain a degree that will not simply provide me with a livelihood, but also with knowledge, insight, and passion. I am proud to stand before you today as a product of the good our San Antonio public schools are capable of doing, as one of the many testaments to the impact they're having on both our city's youth and future. My parents both graduated from San Antonio public high schools, and wanting the same for their 3 daughters, they sent me and my sisters to Bonham Academy to be students in their dual language program. Learning Spanish as a second language broadened my academic horizons and challenged me to continue to pursue educational alternatives that better suited my hopes and dreams. I then applied to the Young Women's Leadership Academy for the 6th grade, a school that has put me on the path I am privileged to walk today. I am thankful for everything that the Young Women's Leadership Academy has given me. It has given me great friendships, a wealth of academic knowledge, and a spirit to always do my best. It is because of all of these institutions, my community, my parents, and San Antonio Public Schools that I now share something with our Mayor, Ivy Taylor. Like her, I have been accepted to Yale University in New Haven, Connecticut. At Yale, I hope to major in political science. That way I can hopefully one day have an impact on educational policy that dictates the lives of students everywhere. My acceptance to Yale was no accident, however, as my entire life and those of all the entities that have played a role in my development have been devoted to widening the opportunities at my disposal. The City of San Antonio has made an important investment in its future by believing in the capacities of students like me and by continuing to improve educational opportunities for all San Antonio students. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Noe Castro. As mentioned, I am a senior at Burbank High School. Go Bulldogs! I'm so honored to be up here in front of all of you on such an important day. The day my mayor, our mayor, delivers her State of the City address. The city's accomplishments and her visions for the future. I'm proud to say that I'm part of the future, but it hasn't been easy. Since I was a little kid, it has been tough for me to decide which side I would be on, my mom's or my dad's. My family is not perfect, and there was a lot of conflict in my house, which made it hard for me to focus in school. Additionally, my mom had frequent health problems, which added stress on her family. I liked my dad, but as I grew up, I realized he was not necessarily the kind of man I wanted to be. My parents separated when I was 14, and I do not have frequent contact with my father currently. I focus mainly on my mom and try my best to help out around the house. I help her with the paying rent, lifting anything heavy that needs to be moved, and the cooking. More recently, my grandmother passed away and school became especially hard for me. When I entered Burbank as a freshman, I didn't pay attention, and I made the choices to sleep, talk, or bother others in class. I would often have missing assignments and try to make them up at the last minute. Because of this, I failed many classes my freshman year. Then one day, this special, kind, new person came up to me and said, "Hey, my name is Ms. Morrison, and I'm new here, and I'm forming a group for comedians in schools and XY Zone, and I was wondering if you would like to join." I thought about it and said, "Yes, I'll join." I was just a little freshman, but the group included some of many friends from middle school, and that made me feel better. Even though I didn't know what I was getting myself into, and working with CIS, I knew there was something great in store for me, for my future. From freshman to junior year, through XY Zone, my mentality started changing for the better. I matured, was able to focus more in class, and I began to get my work done. Through XY Zone, camp, group, field trips, I learned leadership, respect, responsibility, role modeling, and how to build a friendship with other friends, and the brotherhood. Now I have a better understanding of the kind of man I want to be. I'm so grateful to all members of XY Zone, the teachers and coordinators. They saved my high school life, and now I know what the future holds. I have only 3 months until graduation, and I'm planning to go to Palo Alto College, major in kinesiology, and become a personal trainer. I hope to all young men like me and young girls like Nadia can find the same support, resources, and path that will connect them to a future filled with opportunities. Fortunately, we have a mayor who is working to connect all of us, you, and every San Antonian, to prosperity.
Growing up in Queens, New York, Ivy R. Taylor didn't dream about moving to Texas or becoming a mayor. She dreamt about having a good job, making some money, having a family, and owning a home. That's a dream we all share. The path to all those accomplishments began when Mayor Taylor was in graduate school and traveled to San Antonio for an internship.
She fell in love, literally. While here, she met the man who has now been her husband for almost 17 years. But she also fell in love with this city, our people, and helping both.
Her personal mission became her professional work, and now it is a part of her vision for our great city. Even more than that, she has been and will continue to work for us. Ladies and gentlemen, please help us in welcoming our mayor, your mayor, Mayor Ivy R. Taylor.
Thank you. Please take your seats. Well, thank you so much, Noe and Nadia. I think they deserve another round of applause. If anyone in this room is an inspiration, it's you, Noe and Nadia. Your perseverance and your eloquence inspire and challenge each of us to dream big and to work hard. You remind us that ultimately it's the people of San Antonio who make our city unlike any other in the nation. Our people, those of you in the room and all the Noes and Nadias out there waiting to step up, our people will continue to lead us through the 21st century as one of the most economically and culturally vital cities in the United States. And so today, as mayor of this wonderful city, I say with the greatest sense of certainty that the state of our city is strong. I'd like to start, of course, by thanking the Chambers of Commerce for coming together to organize this annual event and for your tireless work on behalf of a stronger, more prosperous San Antonio. And Renee Flores and Becky Cedillo, it's great to have strong women at the helm. And I have to acknowledge, of course, Bexar County Judge Nelson Wolff. I feel very fortunate to call your partner, Judge Wolff. And please also join me in thanking your San Antonio City Council. As mayor, I have the privilege to serve alongside these talented and dedicated leaders. Thank you so much, colleagues. And I'd like to thank my hardworking staff and all our outstanding City of San Antonio employees, led by the invaluable Cheryl Scully. There are more than 12,000 people working on behalf of our taxpayers. And last but certainly not least, I'd like to thank my beautiful daughter Morgan, who's at school today, and my personal stylist, who also happens to be my wonderful husband, Rodney, for your incredible support. Thanks, babe. All of us working together have accomplished so much. According to census data, San Antonio is one of the 10 fastest growing cities in the nation, attracting more millennials than other parts of the country. Last year, in partnership with the Economic Development Foundation and other community partners, we announced nearly 4,000 new jobs in our community. We recruited global companies like Cytocentrics and Endomem to bring hundreds of high-wage jobs in key targeted industries like advanced manufacturing and biosciences. We helped outstanding local companies to expand, companies like Security Service Federal Credit Union, SWBC, and Holtcat. Our downtown development continues to prosper with more than 4,000 new housing options added or planned since 2012 and the opening of a brand new H-E-B in the heart of our city. Yes. We have created a strong partnership with the state and the private sector to restore our treasured Alamo. I'm so excited about that. We opened Yanaguana Gardens and announced public-private developments for Hemisphere, investments now totaling more than $275 million. In total, investments in the downtown core have topped $1.4 billion since 2011. And our first high-rise since the 1980s is underway, a mixed-use project delivered through a public-private partnership with Western Urban and complemented by the San Pedro Creek redevelopment. We secured $135 million to build a new federal courthouse after years of consistent effort. Senator Cornyn and Representative Cuellar and our federal delegation, we truly appreciate your leadership in that effort. And our very own USAA donated $2.1 million to ensure that here in Military City, USA, no veteran sleeps on the streets, and that all former servicemen and women have access to permanent housing and supports. Once veterans like a gentleman named Ronald Smith, who served honorably and was discharged, but then developed PTSD, had little hope. But today, due to the efforts of partners like the American GI Forum and the South Alamo Regional Alliance for the Homeless, Ronald has his own apartment and is working to improve his income and secure benefits. And in fact, through the Mayor's Challenge to End Veteran Homelessness, we've successfully housed more than 1,000 veterans, and we're on pace to end veterans' homelessness in San Antonio this month. Thank you to HUD and the VA for their role in this incredible effort. Google selected San Antonio as its next fiber community, and AT&T announced an expansion of their Gigapower services. We've developed an innovative consumer choice framework to welcome Uber and Lyft back to San Antonio. I know somebody wants to clap for that. Thank you, thank you. Okay. We completed the largest capital project in our history, and isn't it gorgeous? Expansion of our Henry B. Gonzalez Convention Center. And, yes, and we're one step closer to securing a Major League Soccer team in partnership with Spurs Sports and Entertainment and Bexar County for all you soccer fans. And for those who may have a different passion, we're also laying the groundwork for the development of a brand new AAA ballpark in downtown San Antonio with a team to play in it. These accomplishments did not occur by accident. Progress is not inevitable. It's a reflection of the vision, investment, and dedication of individuals who've come together as a community. But we cannot, for one moment, slow down. One of my staffers recently shared the story with me of her late grandfather, a laborer and immigrant named Jose Aleman, who worked hard to create opportunities for his children. His mantra to his family was simple and powerful. Hay que trabajar. There's work to do, he would say. Rain or shine, cold or heat, near or far, hay que trabajar became the family cry. And this statement truly embodies the spirit of San Antonio. Yes, the state of the city is strong, but hay que trabajar, San Antonio. There's still work to be done. A globally competitive city where each of us has the opportunity to prosper. That's my vision for San Antonio. I'm going to repeat that because people always say, well, what is the mayor's vision? This is my vision, that we are a globally competitive city where we all have the opportunity to prosper. Now, this vision is anchored by 3 priorities. First, we'll enhance our local and international economic competitiveness. And second, we'll be fiscally responsible in delivering infrastructure that supports industry and improves our quality of life. And third, we will continue to work as one San Antonio where all have the opportunity to prosper. Now, in regard to that first priority, we are well positioned to advance our economic competitiveness regionally and here in San Antonio. I asked fellow mayors from our region to join me here today. I'm so glad that so many of them were able to make it. I asked them to join us because our fates are so strongly interwoven. San Antonio and Austin are 2 great cities anchoring I-35, and our region is one of the fastest growing in the nation. Now, Mayor Adler and I are working on more than figuring out which city has the better breakfast taco. We are, in fact, developing a working group to address regional issues like transportation, and we'll meet for the first time in early April. In the coming months, we'll name a new CEO for our Economic Development Foundation, which is a pivotal decision. EDF can and should lead us as we move in innovative directions with workforce development, marketing and outreach, and promoting entrepreneurism. We all recognize that the #1 site selection or expansion factor for businesses large and small is access to people with skills. And so workforce development is economic development. Last year, you may remember that Judge Wolf and I joined forces to develop the most robust and effective workforce development system in the nation. Led by Peter John Holt and Kate Rogers with the generous support of Charles Butt and powered by dozens of agencies like the Chamber of Commerce and Alamo Colleges, this effort has coalesced as SA Works. Now let me tell you for a moment about a gentleman that I recently met. I've been doing these events at local libraries called Meet the Mayor, where I have a chance to meet San Antonians. And last month at a public library, I met a man who went from a life of drugs, guns, and struggling for survival to winning awards for his nursing skills. A man who threatened others' lives, but who's now saving them. Jesus Garcia, who his friends call Chewy, is joining us today as living proof that the education and training we offer in this community can enable men and women to turn their lives around. There's Chewy and his lovely family. Chewy once faced up to 25 years in prison, but at that day at the library, he told me that completing the LVN to RN program at St. Philip's College gave him the opportunity to proudly support his family and make a better future for his wife and children. More San Antonians like Chewy can succeed and contribute to our economy if we better align our partners' programs. And so today, I am pleased to announce that SA Works will move under the Economic Development Foundation, effectively integrating economic and workforce development in San Antonio. We'll expand our investment in skills training like the Open Cloud Academy and in incubators that empower entrepreneurs who are the primary source of net new job creation in communities. Our goal is to help innovative companies grow and develop in our emerging downtown tech hub and to effectively market our wonderful city of San Antonio to the world. We've made an excellent start by restructuring our Convention and Visitors Bureau to support a renewed focus on San Antonio's heritage and culture. The travel industry is increasingly geared toward giving travelers experiences they can't have anywhere else, and once again, San Antonio is perfectly positioned to take advantage of this trend. With the only UNESCO World Heritage Site in the state of Texas, and as we prepare to celebrate our 300th anniversary in 2018, we have the chance to invest in our historic sites, connect our people and our visitors to our fascinating past, and cement our reputation as one of America's truly unique cities. Our tricentennial commemoration also offers us the ideal platform to continue developing our strong international economic development strategy, expanding from countries like Spain and Mexico towards South America, Asia, and Europe. More than 60,000 jobs in our community are tied to international business, and that number will grow as commerce continues to globalize. We've identified countries like Germany and Japan with strong exports and foreign direct investment in San Antonio as targets for expansion, and we're taking concrete steps to build those relationships. As just one example, in a few weeks, the mayor of Darmstadt, Germany, will sign a Friendship City agreement here in San Antonio. Darmstadt is Germany's cybersecurity hub and the aerospace capital of Europe. And last year, I traveled there to initiate this cooperative relationship. So my first priority is directly tied to the second priority that I mentioned. Our long-term economic competitiveness depends on our ability to maintain a smart, fiscally responsible government that develops infrastructure to support our industries and improve the quality of life for our residents. SA 2020 brought us together in an unprecedented way to envision our future. And now it's our responsibility to execute that vision through the SA Tomorrow comprehensive planning process and the largest bond program in our history. We anticipate nearly 1 million new residents in our region over the next 25 years, and we must plan and build for that now by focusing growth in a dozen or so neighborhood centers and creating stable mixed-income housing opportunities. Now, with regard to growth, we have used annexation as a tool in the past, and it's accomplished what we expected. It's expanded our boundaries, increased our population, and added to our tax base. But we need to be fiscally prudent. And above all, we need to be responsible to our taxpayers, current and future. When we annex a neighborhood, those San Antonians have the same rights and expectations that the rest of us do about both city services and city facilities. And with the state legislature and leadership proposing restrictions to municipal budgets, particularly to revenues from property taxes, I feel more strongly than ever that blanket annexation is a risky strategy when compared to focusing our efforts on building value in our existing community footprint. And we need to ensure that any annexation advances the vision of SA 2020 and the goals of SA Tomorrow. Now, the first opportunity that we'll have to bring SA Tomorrow to life will be next year. Our 2017 bond package will be historic, both in its size and its emphasis on high-quality design that implements our collective vision. Now, design excellence is not just about public art and architecture, although those are critical components. Design excellence is about creating places that people want to visit, places where people choose to live, places like, for example, our Broadway corridor, which includes cultural institutions such as the Whitty Museum, the Museum, the McNay Museum of Art, the San Antonio Botanical Gardens, Brackenridge Park, San Antonio Zoo, and the San Antonio Museum of Art. The renaissance of this incredible corridor stems from a $500 million makeover from private and public investments, including a corridor planning effort, new facilities, and an entirely new urban neighborhood, the Pearl, with more restaurants, more housing units, and a more walkable way of life that is in high demand. As San Antonio welcomes another 1 million people by 2040, we need more places like the Pearl, and we can't let quality suffer at the hands of quantity. We have the opportunity to raise the profile of San Antonio to new heights, and being San Antonio, we will do it on time and on budget, and with an eye toward seizing the future. I'm so looking forward to working with our Citizens Bond Oversight Committee and our community-based process to develop projects that embody what I call the 3 T's: transportation, technology, and transformation. Yes, we have to invest in the basics, but build them better. Better designed streets with sidewalks and streetlights, better systems and technology to serve taxpayers, better transportation options to connect San Antonians to opportunity. When I met with a group of area ISD superintendents earlier this month, they were unanimous in a message to me that better sidewalks and lighting will help their students get to class. And so to do this, I've asked our city manager to develop a Smart Cities program within our Office of Innovation to explore new uses of technology that will make municipal government more effective, sustainable, and responsive to our citizens. We'll explore collaborations with Bexar County, SAWS, and the River Authority to convert more miles of that ugly concrete channel to green infrastructure, improving our drainage and stormwater systems and providing an amenity for our residents, just like the redeveloped San Pedro Creek. We'll explore partnerships with VIA and our development community to offer more rapid, flexible service to neighborhoods, making it easier to get around. Our 2017 bond projects will reflect the vision of SA 2020, the strategies of SA Tomorrow, and the aspirations of our community, as well as the reality that we have to get to work building a city that can compete in the 21st century. Enhancing our competitiveness while remaining fiscally responsible is a key reason I support the Vista Ridge Water Supply Project. Vista Ridge is, in fact, less risky now than it's ever been. The interest rates are low, successful test wells have already been drilled. The project may cost less than originally anticipated, and we're within the time frame that we envisioned in the original agreement. And so today, I am pleased to announce that Garney, the current construction partner, is finalizing negotiations with Abengoa that would allow Garney to take controlling ownership of the Vista Ridge project. Now, this is not a material change, but we will proceed as we did during contract negotiations by publicly reviewing this proposal to ensure that it continues to protect customers, the City of San Antonio taxpayers, and SAW's rights under the project contract, which was unanimously approved by our City Council in 2014. As a member of the SAW's board, of course, I'm receiving information regularly, and I'll ensure that City Council will remain involved and advised as we make progress. As always, the biggest risk remains failure to secure our water future, and we are continuing to work diligently to conserve and expand our supplies. We are a city that works, and no group of San Antonians is called on to work harder or make greater sacrifices than our police and firefighters. Our officers deliver on the most important promise elected officials can make to citizens, the promise of public safety. Today's headlines from Europe underscore that. But we can't expect our police and firefighters to work indefinitely without a union contract. And we can't expect taxpayers to write a blank check to meet union demands. Nor can we expect our residents to continue to accept existing contract stipulations that prevent transparency in disciplinary actions and reporting. I'm working hard to ensure that San Antonio does not become another city where the police and the community are polarized, where officers are no longer seen as guardians but as the enemy. We have to continue to build the trust necessary for effective, community-based policing. We need to make changes, and now is the time. And so, I have one message for the union leadership. Hay que trabajar. Let's get back to work. The unions have to be willing to put the city's final and best offer to a vote of their membership. So union leaders, Mike Helly and Chris Steele, our community needs you to get back to work immediately on resolving this issue. Their refusal to even negotiate is not acceptable. The residents of this community and union members deserve better. Our responsibility for fiscal stewardship extends throughout our budget and even to our form of government. Our charter, for example, ought to reflect our aspirations for San Antonio. Last year's successful election demonstrated that we've raised our expectations of city council members. And before our next charter amendment election, we'll have a community discussion about other changes that have been suggested, such as consolidating functions with Bexar County, joining the party primary system, and thus moving our municipal election dates, or making changes to our council manager form of government. Now, these are big ideas, very big ideas, and possibly likely controversial, which is why we will continue to follow a citizen-led and community-based process to prepare for a possible charter election in November of 2017. We'll make whatever changes are necessary to serve our citizens better, because it's our people who make up this city, our people who make this city great. A few weeks ago, I made a quick stop to a San Antonio institution, Nadler's Bakery. I hope most of you have been there. Yes. As I was gathering what ended up being a substantial pile of pot pies, kolaches, and cookies, y'all know I have a sweet tooth, it's vicious. I did spend a few minutes with Miss Nadler herself, and she shared her family story. Oh, there I am with Mr. and Mrs. Nadler. They've been in business for 58 years. With her daughter behind the counter and her husband in the kitchen, Minerva Nadler told the story of her husband Hans, a former GI and a Swiss immigrant whom she met when he was stationed at Fort Sam. Now, I don't know how you say "hay que trabajar" when you're from Switzerland, but I'm sure Hans and Minerva Nadler and their families said it frequently. They seized the opportunity to succeed in San Antonio, an opportunity that we must continue to provide. And their story brings me to my third priority, ensuring that all San Antonians are connected to the opportunity for prosperity. Now, we should be proud of several things that are going on right now. Training and skills development being offered through Promise Zone to Work, our Open Cloud Academy, our digital inclusion initiatives. We're thrilled with the success of Geekdom and other incubators and supports for entrepreneurs. And San Antonio has seen great strides in our education system over the last few years. High school graduation rates are up. Investments in career and technical education, as well as college access services, are increasing. However, nearly 1 out of every 5 residents in our community lacks a high school diploma or GED, which is a direct correlation to the nearly 1 in 5 of our residents living below the poverty level. We're still not seeing improvements in college readiness rates in our most distressed neighborhoods. Now, that is unacceptable and unsustainable, both economically and morally, and it translates to other gaps. San Antonio continues to experience lower levels of college completion and higher levels of illiteracy than our peer cities, and some industries can't find the specific skills they need in our workforce. We have to confront some unpleasant facts. In San Antonio, minority males are about half as likely to obtain post-secondary education as their white counterparts. And across the United States, a typical white individual earns $2 million during a lifetime, while a typical black earns $1.5 million and typical Hispanic $1 million. These are not good odds. We need to reshuffle the cards, and those who've had the deck stacked against them must be dealt a new hand, both for their benefit and ours. And that's why earlier this month, I launched my Brother's Keeper San Antonio, a comprehensive action plan to improve life outcomes of young men and boys of color. Our goals are to increase levels of education and training, reduce crime and recidivism, and sustain our positive impacts over the long term. San Antonio will succeed when all young men like Noe are seen as a resource and not a problem. Our people, all of our people, will support our economy, the expansion of local businesses, and perhaps the creation of entirely new industries. In addition to our workforce development efforts to prepare our residents to take advantage of job training opportunities, we'll also focus on basic literacy skills, whether that's helping families make a budget, read a book, or use a computer. Through the Connect Home program, we're partnering with the San Antonio Housing Authority to bring high-speed internet access and new computers to thousands of families, supported by outreach and education to close that digital divide. And companies like USAA and PricewaterhouseCoopers are committing volunteers and expertise to ensure that San Antonians have access to financial readiness training. Regardless of stage of life or occupation, we all need to have basic skills in budgeting, saving, and managing our credit and debt. And once we build those basics for our families, then they can grow our economy. I wonder how many of you in this room are familiar with the story of Artemisia Bowden. Well, if you haven't heard that name, I'm sure you know the proud history of St. Philip's College. And I saw some representatives from Alamo Colleges here today. Well, we wouldn't have St. Philip's and its nursing and culinary programs and SAISD Early College High School at St. Philip's if it weren't for this woman, Artemisia Bowden. In 1898, the Episcopal Church opened a school offering vocational instruction for Black girls in San Antonio. And starting in 1902, and for the next 50 years, a woman named Artemisia Bowden, daughter of an emancipated slave, served as president of the school. And in fact, during the Depression, when the church could no longer continue their financial support, Ms. Bowden used her own money to pay teachers and keep the school operating. She grew St. Philip's College from 6 girls in a sewing circle in 1902 to almost 10,000 students and 70 different academic and technical disciplines today. The only college in the country that's both a historically Black college or university and a Hispanic-serving institution. Artemisia knew that a proper education would open doors for young men and women of color, and she worked hard to make that opportunity a reality. Although she never met her, Artemisia believed in Nadia Balderas. She believed in Noe Castro. She believed in Chuy Garcia. She dedicated her life to providing San Antonians with the skills to compete and thrive. When I was here last year during this speech, I spoke about my hopes for my daughter Morgan and remarked that I often try to see the future of our city through her eyes. I think Artemisia Bowden must have done that too. She must have looked at those 6 girls in 1902 and seen what they could become, what San Antonio could become if we all had the opportunity to work hard and be rewarded for our efforts. In 1900, around the time that Artemisia Bowden arrived at St. Philip's, San Antonio had a population of 50,000 people, and there were 70 cities in the United States larger than San Antonio. Well, we are no longer that small town. We're a big city with big opportunities. We're one of America's leading cities, and we represent the future of our great country. And ultimately, it's the people of San Antonio who make our city unlike any other in the nation. And so I thank everyone here for everything that you have done, everything that you will do to build one San Antonio, a city where each of us has the opportunity to prosper. So hay que trabajar, San Antonio. Let's get to work. Thank you.